Okay, welcome everyone to another class on web design. So on today's topic, we'll be talking about introduction to CSS and everything you need to know on CSS. So CSS is the language we use to style web page. It stands for Cascading Style Sheets. CSS describes how HTML elements are to be displayed on screen, paper, or in other media. CSS saves a lot of work. It can control the layout of multiple web pages all at once. External style sheets are stored in CSS files. So we'll be talking about our CSS syntax. A CSS rule consists of a selector and a declaration block. So if you want to style your web page, you use CSS to style it. So we're using our comments. So what is CSS? Okay. Like I said, it stands for Cascading Style Sheets. You can make it structure your web page to look better. Okay, so we're using our comment to document the topics we'll be having. So CSS syntax. A CSS rule consists of a selector and a declaration block. So for you to use CSS, you have to have a selector, for example h1, then declaration will consist of property and value. So for example, if you have h1, which is the selector, then the declaration will be, for example, color, then let's say blue. So color there should be the property, while blue there will be the value. So let's give an example. So we're using our h1 as the selector. It can be h1, it can be paragraph, it can be anything. So h1, so we're trying to give it color. We selected h1, so we're trying to give it color. So the color is blue. So we're also saying the font size. We're giving it 12 pixels. We want the size to be 12. So for the first one, we're having h1 as selector, then the color, h1 is selector, then the color together with the blue is called declaration, and also the font size and the 12 pixel is called declaration. So the declaration is further divided into property and value. So color is the property, blue is the value, while font size is the property, while 12 pixel is the value. So the selector points to the HTML elements you want to style. The declaration block contains one or more declarations separated by semicolons. Each declaration includes a CSS property name and a value separated by a colon. So after the color we have a semicolon, then the value, which is blue. So you separate them by semicolon after each declaration. So multiple CSS declarations are separated with semicolons like we have here, and declaration blocks are surrounded by curly braces. So you can see, as we had our h1, we brought our curly braces. So we are trying to demonstrate it here. The H1 is the selector, the color together with the blue declaration, the font size together with 12 pixel is declaration. So that is property, the blue is the value. So for the font size together with 12 pixels is declaration, which is further divided into property and value. So we want to copy and paste it. Okay, so font size is the property, while 12 pixel is the value. So for every CSS work you are to do, you must have a selector and a declaration, be it heading, be it paragraph, whatever it is. So we're trying to put this in a comment so that it doesn't display in our web page. So we have to close the comments. So let's close it. So we have closed the comments so that the next thing we'll type will not be in comments. So selector and declaration is what we have to understand. Declaration consists of property and value. So we're trying to give an example here. H1 is the selector, the color is blue, so color together with blue is declaration. So let's copy this, let's copy it out. We are supposed to start with our HTML document, so let's copy this, let's cut it out, then bring our HTML documents, shift and exclamation mark. Okay, so these are our documents. So let's paste what we copied, what we were doing before. Let's paste it. Okay, so we now have our basic document. So when you're starting, you can just start with the declaration. So we'll give an example right now. So let's copy this comment so that we can edit it. So let's edit it. We've talked about the syntax. So let's give an example. So in the body, let's bring a paragraph. So let's say hello world as a paragraph. Let's bring another paragraph. So let's say this paragraphs are styled with CSS. Okay, so for us to style it, we'll style it in the head section. So we want to make changes to the paragraph we just typed. So go to our head section, open style. So in between the style, your selector, which is paragraph, you bring a selector, paragraph, then the declaration, which consists of property and value. So the property is color and the value is red. So we want to align this text to be in the center. The property is text align, the value is center. Okay, so let's open our work and see. So this is what we have. We have hello world. These paragraphs are styled with CSS, and we're able to style it in the head section by calling our selector, color to be red, then text align center. So we're able to achieve that. So P is a selector in CSS. It points to the HTML element you want to style. Alright. Color is a property and red is the property value. Text align is a property and center is the property value. So you could confirm from what we just did that was what actually reflected. Okay, let's bring a comment. Let's look at another topic or another section. So this example we just gave, let's explain it further. So like the paragraph we had here, hello world, it's just a paragraph. Then the second one is also a paragraph. Then we styled it in our head section. We select hello world be at the center and let the color be red. So we're able to see that it's reflected on our browser. So the next we'll talk about is how to add CSS to our web page, or how to link it together, link your HTML to your CSS. So when a browser reads a style sheet, it will format the HTML document according to the information in the style sheet. So there are actually three ways to insert our CSS. The three ways are external CSS, internal CSS, and inline. So the external actually talks about you creating an external file ending with .css. Then internal is talking about you actually doing it in the head section of your HTML. Then inline talks about you styling your document with that particular element. So for example, if you want to style H1, you style it in the H1 itself. So we have external, internal, and inline. So let's talk about external styling, external CSS. So with an external style sheet, you can change the look of an entire website by changing just one file. Each HTML page must include a reference to the external style sheet file inside the link element inside the head section. So you link your HTML to your CSS. You link your HTML to your CSS by bringing the link elements. So we'll see how it's done as we progress. So we'll give an example right now. So to start with the external CSS, you create an external file and you save it with .css. So for example, in this one we said css1.html. This is an HTML file. So for us to link this externally, we have to create another file with .css. Since HTML is with .html, so you go to File, New File. Okay, so we want to how should you save our CSS file? Let's see. Okay, let's say css.css, or let's change it to introduction.css. So you save it, create file, save. So you can see we have introduction.css is our CSS file, and we also have css.html, our HTML file. So you can see introduction.css. So whatever you style in your CSS will reflect in your web page. So linking your CSS with your HTML, you start with link, then rel, then you put style sheet in this quotation mark. Now you bring your href. You know href is used for linking, for links. So the name of our CSS is introduction.css. So you write it the same way you saved it. Small letter introdduction.css, the same way. Okay, so you close the tag. So with this now, whatever you do in your HTML, you can actually add a style to it in the CSS file. So we've linked our CSS to our HTML right now. So let's confirm. Now we brought our H1. We said this is my first heading with CSS. Okay, so let's bring a paragraph. Let's say this is my first paragraph with CSS. So we're trying, the idea is to style this from our external file, which is CSS. Okay, so we have HTML file here. We're trying to style it from our CSS file. So we'll go to our CSS file and select these files, then I'll style it. So let's go to our CSS. Okay, let's check our work. Let's reload. So this is what we've done so far. This is my first heading with CSS, but this is my first paragraph with CSS. You know, we've styled it before from the previous examples. Let's remove it. Let's just remove this paragraph. Let's remove the paragraph so that we'll be left with only the H1. So let's reload. Okay, so this is what we have done so far. This is my first heading with CSS. So let's style it from our CSS file. Okay, so our selector. Our selector is the body. So we're selecting the body. Our declaration, we're saying background color, which is the property. Then which color are we giving it? Blue, light blue. So after the property, put colon. Then after the value, put semicolon. So we've started the body. So we're talking about H1 now. So we're giving our H1 color to be navy. Then the value, the color is the property, the navy is the value. So our H1, we want to give it margin to the left. Okay, 20 pixel. So it will be 20 pixel far from the left side. So you save and reload. So as you can see, we are able to style our HTML. The color, the H1 is navy, then the background is light blue. Okay, so then the margin to the left is 20 pixel for H1. So these are to style using your external style sheets. So let's bring a comment to talk about the next one, which is internal CSS. We've talked about this external CSS. We talked about creating an external file to link your work together. So we're talking about the internal CSS. Don't forget, an external style sheet can be written in any text editor and must be saved with a .css extension. Okay, so the internal style sheet, an internal style sheet may be used if one single HTML page has a unique style. Okay, the internal style is defined inside the style element inside the head section. So we'll give an example now. Internal styles are defined within the style element inside the head section of an HTML page. So we're not creating an external file for this. We are just staying here and we are going to the head section to style our HTML. So let's bring H1. Let's say this is the heading for internal CSS. So I'll bring in a paragraph. This is a paragraph. For internal CSS. So let's reload. Oh, as you can see, this is a heading for internal CSS. This is a paragraph for internal CSS. It's already styled because we styled it before now from our previous styling. So let's change the selector. You know, this for internal, we've styled it before when we're giving the example. So let's change it to H2 so that the previous styling will not be affected by this new one. So we're changing it to P2 and H2. So let's reload. So it has gone back to black, which is the default. So we'll style this now. So it is because we've styled before, that's why it's showing those color. So we change the selector now to H2. So let's go to our head section to style our H2 and our P2. So open style. So in between style, okay, let's just remove the styling we've done before. Let's just delete it so that it won't affect our work again. Okay, so I've deleted it. So style, background. Okay, let's also remove the external styling that we did before now. Since we're done with it, let's remove the external styling. So we've removed the external styling and the example we gave before we started the other stylings, so that we can have a clear example. So talking about the internal styling, we are supposed to put our style in the head section. We'll delete that. In the style, so we bring a selector. So the mistake we were making, we didn't bring a selector, which is body. So the background we are saying should be linen. The background color should be linen. Let's reload. It didn't have any effect, right? So let's remove our former styling that we did, the former styling, which is this color. Yeah, let's remove it, plus the link rel, plus the external styling that we did before. No, we gave an example when we started this class, and the external styling that we have done, let's remove it so that the inline can have a place to function. So let's delete. Okay, let's reload. So this is the background color for linen, but let's change the color and see. Let's really confirm. So I left the internal styling that we did before as an example. The example of the styling we did when we started, I left it. So you may decide to leave it or remove it. So I'm changing to pink. Let's see. Okay, so this is how internal styling is done in the head section inside style. So we've talked about the external, talked about the internal styling. So I hope you understand and you have no confusion so far. So we've styled the body. Let's style our H1. Let's give it the color of maroon. So margin to the left 40 pixel. Your semicolon. So you save and reload. So it didn't work because this is my first heading with CSS, the one that is styling, which is not supposed to be so. So let's see. So it's actually H2, not H1. We changed our, it's H2. So let's reload. So as you can see, we have, this is heading for internal CSS that has been styled to a different color, but this is a paragraph for internal CSS has not. So let's call in our P2. So let's say color. Let's give it blue, then your semicolon. So margin left. Okay, let's say 40 pixel, then your semicolon, then save. So that's how to style using the internal styling. We'll be able to deal with the internal and external. So let's talk about the inline styling. So an inline style may be used to apply a unique style for a single element. To use inline styles, add the style attribute to the relevant element. The style attribute can contain any CSS property. Okay, so inline styles are defined within the style attributes of the relevant element. So if you want to style H1, you put it within H1. If you are styling a paragraph, you put it within a paragraph. So in this case, we're about to style H3. But what you do is you type H3 first. So let's remove that. Let's start again. H3. Open your tag H3. Then the next thing should be style. Then color. I want to give it a color. Let's give it a color of blue. Then your semicolon. Okay, let's give it a blue violet. Then we want to be text aligned to center. So we made a mistake. So we are supposed to put a semicolon after the color of blue violet. So we'll put a semicolon. Then text align should be center. So what should our H3 be? We are putting it to be, this is my H3. That's our H3. So we are styling it to be color of blue violet. Then text align center. Okay, let's bring paragraph 3 P3. So let's say color red. So this is my P3. So let's reload. So as you can see, this is my H3 at the center. Then this is my P3. So we're able to style. I've been able to style H3. Able to style H3 and P3 using the inline by putting the style within the element itself. Okay, so let's just leave it this way. This is my H3 and this is my P3. So that's how to style. So the next thing we'll talk about is we'll talk about CSS comments. So let's put the topic in a comment. How do we give a comment in CSS? We've talked about comments in HTML. So we'll be talking about comments in CSS. Comments are used to explain the code and may help when you edit the source code at a later date. Comments are ignored by the browsers. A CSS comment is placed inside the style element and starts with slash and star and ends with star and slash. So we'll give an example in a short time. So at the end of this class, I want you to tell me your best CSS styling. Is it the internal? Is it the external? Is it the external? Is it the inline? Is it the external? Is it the internal? So let's bring a paragraph. So paragraph is hello world. So after paragraph hello world, let's bring on that paragraph. So CSS comments are not, we're trying to bring a paragraph, but we don't want it to show in the web page. CSS comments are not shown in the output. Okay, so let's reload first. It is showing, it is styling, right? CSS comments are not shown in the output. Hello world, CSS comments are not shown in the output. It is styled because we've styled it in one of the stylings before now, but we're trying to put it in a comment. Okay, let's change the P to 4. Let's change to P4. Let's reload. We've done styling in the ESTA. We've done styling before. So anything paragraph is styled like this. So let's change it to, okay, let's say H4. Let's see. So we don't want it to be styled at all. Let's just something neutral. So let's say H4. Let's see. So we are supposed to go to the head section in style, then we'll put it in comments. Okay, let's give it a color first. Let's say red. So we're giving our H for color of red. Okay, let's reload. The color is red. Let's change the color so it will be different from the other ones. So let's put it black. Okay, fine. So this is what we want to put in a comment. We do not want it to display on our browser. So let's see how it's done. So we'll bring a comment. So let's put slash then star. So this is a single line comment. So let's reload. So this is a single line comment. Did not display. Okay, for the comment, we do not want this is a single line comment to appear. Okay, so it's not as if we do not want hello world. This paragraph is styled with CSS. That is not what we want to disappear. We want this is a single line comment not to appear. So that's why we put it in a comment. Alright. So the hello world, this is a paragraph is styled with CSS. That one will show. But whatever you put in a comment is the only thing that will not display in your web page. Thank you very much. Okay, so if you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, kindly subscribe, give a comment, tell me the CSS styling you like. Do you like the internal, the external, or the inline? Give me a comment and tell me the types of videos you want me to upload, and you can share the video for others to also watch. Thank you very much.